Hello Stampers! I've got a pretty little mountain scene for you today, and I'm using the Grassy Grove stamp set from Stampin' Up! For this, and also the coordinating dies, the Grove dies, to create this project today. And I decided to do a little play on color here to be more spring-like. I brought in Parakeet Party in this sky, and I think that really brightens things up. And then instead of traditional blues, I went towards the blue-green side using Bermuda Bay and Pacific Point. So I kind of like how this turned out, and I hope you do too. So let's get going on this. So like I said, we're going to be using the Grassy Grove stamp set. So this is the stamp set we're using. And then I bring it in one of the coordinating dies. There's this is a great die set, by the way. And I love these deer dies because when you cut them out, save this part, this negative of your image. And that way you can have your deer in your scene, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And you can have it facing any which way you want. If you want it facing that way, you just flip it over. So we're going to do that today, and let's get going. So I'm going to start this project with a basic white panel. It's 3.5 by 5.5. And you can find all the dimensions for this card down below this video. Just click show more and you'll see them there, along with all the links to the products. That'll take you directly to my online store where you can shop with me 24/7. So I'm going to start. I need a moon in the scene. And so I have a 3/4 inch punch. This is retired from Stampin' Up, but you'll be able to find a 3/4 punch about anywhere. You could use a 1-inch punch, whatever you have. You can even go smaller. You know, suns and moons are all different sizes. So I'm just taking a double layer of Post-it note here. These are the little tiny ones, but you can use regular Post-it notes. And I'm putting it in so that the sticky part is right here in the punch. And so I want to punch as much out of the sticky part as I can. And now we have a double layer of our little sun mask here. And I'm just going to put it on, let's see, kind of measure here. It's about 2 inches down from the top of the panel. And over to the left side. All right, so now we're going to start with our lightest color here. And we're going to start out with this Parakeet Party color. And it's just a bright yellow green, and I just thought it'd be nice in the background here. So we're going to be going over that mask, and then I'm going to put this everywhere on this cardstock except the bottom, like bottom third. I'm just going to leave blank because they're going to be black down there, so it's going to obliviate it anyway. So save your ink. But everywhere else you want it, even though you're going to have mountains and such, because it's going to brighten up all those colors we're getting ready to put on. Gives it kind of a glow. So there is our Parakeet Party. So next I'm going to bring in Bermuda Bay, and again with a blending brush. I'm going to do circular motion here. I'm going to start at the top of the cardstock and kind of blend down. And I'm just going to go down to about halfway into that moon and across. Or sun, I should say. And here I think I'm going to have it be a sun because of the brightness. There we go. So that was Bermuda Bay. Next we're going to go Pacific Point. So we're going towards the blue side here. And just adding this at the very top gives you that nice variegated sky. There we go. Just make sure you don't come down and wipe out all of your Bermuda Bay that you put on. So now we need some mountain shapes, and I'm going to grab my big Post-it notes for this. These are 3 by 5 and just a regular old Post-it note. And I'm just going to use one layer here. And this first Post-it note, I'm just going to make a pretty good size peaked mountain in this. It could be about any shape in your top of your mountain. So I like that. And I'm going to put it on here to where I'm just covering up that sun shape there. And I have my peak of my mountain showing nice there. And you can actually, I think I'm going to move it over a little bit, maybe. There we go. And that'll make that mountain more prominent, more in the center. So it's just a little off to the right. And you know, position isn't all that important. So we're going to bring out that Bermuda Bay again. And our blending brush. And I'm going to just lightly, I'm telling you, go over this shape here. You're going to have to hold it down a bit. I know there's sticky, there's Post-it notes that have sticky all over them. I just prefer the cheap ones that just have it at the top. I've just got used to using them. Just about any time I post one of these, I have somebody say, you know, there's Post-it notes with sticky all over. I do know that. It's just I just prefer the cheap ones. So there is our mountain shape in there. It's nice and light, and that's what we want. The further back your mountains are, the lighter in color they are. So as we come forward with our mountains, we want them to get darker and darker. So we're going to do like a medium tone for our next layer. Now I'm going to get another Post-it note out here. And this one I'm just going to put a little smaller, like little hills in here. And you can like put them this way and that way. I'm going to come in, and you want to make sure that you're not above these edges here. You want to be down below them with your little Post-it note. So there we go. And I'm using Bermuda Bay still, and this time I'm going to put it on dark. So lots more pressure on this. Get that color on. And I'm just going to bring this down just to make sure I have enough color down there. Okay, so this is we're in the middle of our ground area there, or our mountains. Okay, so one more Post-it note, and we'll be rearing to go here. Now this one I'm going to start right away with my little hill that's coming up. I don't want it too big. I think I don't want it too pointy. And I'm going to add this one in, and I'm going to bring it up almost to the top of that one that we just put on. So if you can see it, it's just right here, the top of it. So there that is. And I'm going to switch out colors. We're going to go to Pacific Point. Like I said, we want to get darker in color, so we're going Pacific Point, and it's kind of nice because we're almost mimicking the sky colors here. So that's nice and dark there, and there is our mountains in the background. So now we're ready for our deer, and I die cut that deer from the Grove dies just out of scrap cardstock. Just make sure you have plenty of cardstock around it. You don't want to use a little piece that it just barely fits on, because you're likely to get that black outside of that little piece and onto your work where you don't want it. So I have my little deer there, the -1 of it. And I'm going to have it facing to the right here. I'm going to bring it up. I definitely want its feet down into that blue, dark Pacific point there. Again, you're going to want to hold tight to your little mask here. And I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black here. And this is a good time to ink that black ink pad. You don't want to try to do this with a non-inky pad, else you'll end up with a gray deer instead of dark black. And if your mask moved, just put it back on. Maybe just a little more. You want it as much as you need to cover it so you don't see those mountain shapes through that deer. So you want it good and dark. And that was our mask that we used there. And now we're going to get a stamp out. And this is the Grassy stamp that's in the Grassy Grows stamp set. I'm going to use that same Memento Tuxedo Black for this. And when I stamp this, I want to stamp it high enough that our deer is grounded. So this dark area here you want at the bottom of your deer's feet. I'll stamp it one more time there. I'm going to actually go to a sponge. And I get these on Amazon. They come in like a circle. They're just a sponge. And I cut them in like 8 pieces. So you get quite a few of them out of that one little sponge. I have one per color family, but I have one just for my black. Now I went to a sponge instead of my blending brush, because when you pounce this on with your sponge, it gives you a frilly edge to it and not just smooth. And plus, when you pounce it on, you get extra darkness. And that's what we want. And I'm covering that little dark area and just having the grasses peeking out above it. So I'm just pouncing that all over, getting nice and dark here. You can actually scrub back and forth and then pounce on top of it, and it helps you get a solid looking area. Now this is a great place to stamp in white, a sentiment, or add ribbon or whatever. I did a very simple card design for this. Now I have that done. I'm going to go ahead and take off my little sun mask here, nice and bright. And I'm going to bring out a white gel pen. And I just want to add some highlights to really make that deer pop. So first of all, these little plants down here, I'm just making some dots along those grasses. Just a few in the dark area on the ground. It's that kind of makes it look like you got a little spring greenery going down here. Little tiny white flowers. There we go. And you do that fast so I don't get real symmetrical with my little dots, and they start looking kind of weird. And now for my deer, I'm going to add a little white along the front of its ears, down its snout, and along its back, down its tail. I'm going to add a little to the tail, because these are probably white-tailed deer, and along this leg, along that leg, back of that one, back of that one. So back of all the legs. And then I'm going to stamp some trees in here. Get some Memento Tuxedo Black back out. Got to have some trees, right? Make sure you ink these up well so they stamp nice. No gray trees, right? Okay, so I'm just going to put them alongside this, and I'm going to hold it here to get a good impression. There we go. There's our trees. then let's add just a few dots in the left side of the tree, because the left side is facing that sun, and that is where your highlights will be. Just like our deer, it's where that sunlight would actually hit that deer. So just on that left side of each tree, and then you can add some down the left side of the tree trunk a bit. Just go in between those little branches. You don't want to just make a straight line down. Okay, so there is our highlighting all done. Our scene is complete, and we're ready to put this together. Now I have a Parakeet Party card base here. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and then I folded it in half to create my quarter card. Inside I added a coastal Cabana panel that's 4 by 5.25, and then I added a basic black panel here that's 4 inches square. And then our panel is just going to go on top of this, and this is the same height as our card is. So we're just going to add that on. Again, you can add ribbon, you know, whatever to your panel. Ignore my coloring on the back. Sometimes I have to figure things out before I get going. Good thing there's 2 sides to every piece of paper. There we go. And there is our completed card for today. I hope you enjoyed this project and that you give it a go. It's a lot of fun to do. Thanks for joining me. Toodles!